Hey guys, it's Misty Eyez, and I'm actually getting ready for work. And I'm wearing a top hat today for my dear friend, Eddie Sotomayor. And most of you knew Eddie as Top Hat Eddie. Eddie is no longer with us. He is one of the victims of the tragedy, the hate crime, the mass murder that happened this weekend at Pulse nightclub in Orlando. And this has struck me very hard. Because I know and I love Eddie. Eddie was smart. He was very witty, like accountant, book brainiac, public relations smart, but funny and cunning and sweet. And I warmed up very quickly to Eddie. And when you go, anybody that's been on the Drag Stars at Sea cruise will know, but you're on a boat for a week with these people. And you become very, very, very close. And the names have not all finished rolling in. I'm scared to death that I will lose another friend or another loved one. But I wanted to do this video in Eddie's honor, but also as a member of the gay and lesbian community. Yes, I realize a friend of mine was like, thank God you're not gay anymore. And they meant, obviously, that I'm a straight woman. But the truth is, I'm still a member of the LGBT community. I identified as a gay man or a woman. Identified as a gay boy is what I was trying to say. My whole life. When I was very, very young, I knew I was attracted to men or boys or guys or the male body. I always knew that I was different. Yes, I knew I was a girl when I was very little. I didn't know that was an option when I was very little. And of course that was preyed out of me. But I'm still very firmly rooted in the gay community. I work in the gay community. My husband is a heterosexual man. And his mother called him. His mother and him are not very close. And she was concerned. And she's like, hey, I know Dakota works in these type of clubs. Are you guys okay? Is Dakota okay? My family, and I joke a lot about my family. I say that I have redneck cousins and redneck relatives. And I have severe charismatic Christian family. And a lot of them bombarded my phone yesterday, wondering if I'm okay or if I was involved. Now the truth is, I live in Fort Lauderdale, which is 4 hours south of Orlando. I was not at Pulse. I was at my job. I worked at Lips on Saturday. And my husband was at his job. He works in the kitchen at a restaurant. And he got off of work at 6 in the morning. And I got off of work at 4 in the morning. So after I got off of work, I went to his job and waited for him, partially inside his job, and then I waited for him in the car. But somebody came running into his job and was like, call everyone you know in Orlando, call everyone you know in Orlando. And I'm like, why? What's going on? And she's like, just call everyone you know in Orlando. She was freaking out. And I'm like, why? What happened? I'm not going to call somebody in Orlando that should give me a reason. I'm not just going to randomly call everyone I know. And she's like, there's someone that, well, she said 2 people. The early reports were that there was multiple gunfire. But now I think it was just a police officer. That was the other shooting. But she said somebody went into Pulse nightclub in Orlando and shot the place up. And I was like, holy fuck. So I went to my car And I started getting on my phone and listening and Googling and paying attention to my Aunt Stacy, who lives in Big Lake, or now she lives in Big Lake, Alaska. She was very concerned. And I was like, no, I'm okay. I have partied at Pulse. I have worked at Pulse many times. In fact, every time I go to Orlando, I either go to Pulse or Parliament House. And then the reality started to hit. That no, I was not there. I'm 4 hours away. But it very, very easily could have been me. It very easily could have been me and my husband. And I did know multiple people injured. I don't know the outcome of some of them. I do know that Eddie was shot in the back. And he lost his life at the hospital. I do know that for a fact. But out of the 50 plus lives that were lost, they've only released 10 names officially. So I don't know final counts. One of my good friends that worked with me at Lips moved back to Orlando. And I couldn't get a hold of her. But she finally checked in today. She's in a competition in California. And she's okay, thank God. But the reality is our lives are affected by this tragedy. And the part that really pisses me off is we live in a society. I'm not saying President Obama is the reason this happened. Please do not misinterpret my words. I'm sure he had nothing to do with this. But President Obama is teaching the world that it's okay to hate out loud. And it's not okay to hate out loud. We don't have to agree with everyone's way of thinking. But we are one human family. Me and you, everyone watching this video, we are brothers and sisters. We are all human beings. It's not okay to hate out loud. It's not okay to hate in private. And it's certainly not okay to go into an establishment that you don't agree with and just blow people up. You don't have to agree with people that are different from you. I heard that this man saw people kissing in Miami, 2 guys kissing in Miami. And he freaked out and drove all the way to Orlando to blow up a huge gay nightclub. Because there was 300 plus people there. I don't know how he did his research, but he might have went last week for gay days and there was probably twice as many people. It was like, I'm going back. It's not okay. It's not okay to go to a nightclub and blow up people. It's not okay to shame trans women in North Carolina and other states. It's not okay to tell people they can't use the bathroom because they're different. I've been pissing in a woman's bathroom for the last 5+ years. No one's ever cared. And now I'm afraid to pee in public. Because I don't know what people are going to do or say. And I have to think, am I wearing makeup today? Do I look passable? Do I look real? And that's not a way to live. And yes, I have friends all over the internet that are like, oh my God, you're okay, I love you. Many of them are friends from ORU and my Christian side of myself. My background and my loved ones. And they're like, we love you and we love, pray for Orlando. But then at the same time, they're speaking against my people and my loved ones, saying it's not okay. I'm telling you, it's not okay to have hate. It's not okay to force and breed and speak hate. Donald Trump is speaking hate out loud. Hate against Mexicans, hate against Muslims, hate against whatever. And then there's churches out there that say God hates fags, and then they're trying to do this anti-trans movement, and they're trying to scare gays and lesbians and bisexuals and transgenders into a closet. And that's not okay. It's 2016. We should not be afraid to leave our house. When I live in Fort Lauderdale, Fort Lauderdale is a very accepting community of all people. There's tons of straight people in Fort Lauderdale. There's tons of Christians in Fort Lauderdale, but there's also tons of all kinds of people, even gay ones and trans ones. I feel safer here. But my husband and I went to Alaska last year for Christmas, or this year, and he talked about moving there. And I'm scared to death. If I were to live in Alaska, I'm scared for my life. Would I be able to use the bathroom in Alaska? Would I be able to go grocery shopping and not be killed because I'm different or I'm weird? Would I be able to find a job that would hire me and pay me and not be afraid that their customers would complain because they have a freak behind the counter working for their business? So I told him, let's wait. Let's wait. I'm not comfortable. I love my family. I had such a great visit with them, and I hate the weather, but I love them. But I'm also learning to love myself. And how am I supposed to love myself if I'm surrounded by hate? By people that don't understand, and people that fear the different, and people fear unique. It's not okay. It's not okay that I lost friends in Orlando this weekend. It's not okay that some man went and bought an assault rifle with bullets the size of a fucking lip gloss and shot over 100 people. It's not okay. And it really pisses me off that people are out there saying, oh God, we're so happy you're okay and we want to pray for you and pray for Orlando. But then in the same sentence or the same paragraph or the next day, they're talking about anti-trans and anti-gay or anti-lesbian or anti-whatever. Why can't we live in a world where people are people? It wasn't that long ago that women didn't have rights. Women couldn't vote. My sister's married to a Mauritius guy. My other sister's married to a black guy. There wasn't too long ago that wasn't okay either. Our community and our world did not agree with interracial relationships. Oh, now, heaven forbid, two people with penises fall in love and have a relationship. And then my husband is getting a whole different kind of shame, where straight guys are like, oh, your wife is different. And the community does not support straight men that are attracted to trans women. So straight men are not allowed to like and be attracted to straight women or trans women. Who the fuck's supposed to like a trans woman? It's not gay men. My heart is very upset today. And my heart is very sad. I'm gonna miss Top Hat Eddie. he just called me on Friday to tell me that the dates of the cruise have been moved back to December, so it doesn't overlap with DragCon in California and the season finale of RuPaul's Drag Race. And asked if I would be willing to move with the dates because he still wants me as a group leader. And I said, yes, of course, absolutely. And that's the last thing I said to him. And he's gone. The next day. And then I also want to send this message out to everyone. First and foremost, love people. Love each other. Yes, I'm a part of the gay and lesbian community, and yes, gays are the worst. They're just like Christians. They're going to eat their own, and quickly and painfully and brutally. I wish our community was more accepting of itself. We have to fight segregation from the straight people. Why do we have to segregate within our community? It's so sad. It's disgusting. But also, my second message I really want to put out in this video is if you see something, say something. See something, say something. That's simple. If you see something, say something. Meaning, call 911. I was talking to a friend of mine who was an ambulance driver. And he told me, oh yeah, sure, we get calls all the time. Next door neighbors think that their neighbor's getting killed or assaulted or whatever, and we show up and it's a false alarm. But we'd so much rather show up for a false alarm than show up to a 2-day late alarm or whatever. If you see something, say something. If you see somebody walking into a club with an assault rifle, fuck, do something about it. And then, how in the fucking hell was he able to buy those guns right out in public? Why on earth does somebody in the state of Florida need an assault rifle? Why in the world would somebody need a bullet this big? We don't have any wild game down here. Fuck, you don't even need an assault rifle for moose in Alaska. I do think gun control needs to be stepped up. I truly do. I used to be extremely hardcore anti-guns, period, end of story. Like, I don't want to touch it, I don't want to look at it, I don't want to hear it, I don't want to see it. And my husband loves guns. And last year, or this year, when we went to Alaska, I took him with me. And he was like, I want to kill something. And I'm laughing, but that's not funny. And he was like, I just want to shoot a gun. And I was like, okay. So I talked to my cousin, and you saw the video, I'm sure, or if you didn't, from my last Alaska trip. I put a whole section of when my cousin and her boyfriend took us to go hunting, or not hunting, but to a gun range, and we shot guns. I shot her, I don't know, rifle and handgun. And I truly had a good time. I do understand the need for self-defense. I also do understand, especially in Alaska, for the need to protect yourself against grizzly bears or moose or a charging animal or breaking, entering, or robbery or whatever. But why on earth would somebody go into a store and buy an assault rifle with tons of bullets in Florida? Why is that okay? How is that okay? How is that legal? My heart is broken. I'm very sad. Not just for my friend Eddie, but for all the people that I knew and all the people I didn't know. Over 100 people were injured or killed. Over 100 people were shot. That's over 100 people's lives that were altered or lost because of some stupid fucking idiot. This is the worst tragedy since 9/11 and the worst tragedy in American history with gunfire. It's all because somebody didn't like gay people. Now, the good news is they're not taking my pride. They're not going to scare me back into a closet. I went to work last night. It was very hard because I was up till almost 8 o'clock in the morning watching CNN. My Aunt Stacy was like, watch CNN. They do interviews and they do live footage and stuff. Go to CNN. They have the best coverage. So we watched CNN till 8 o'clock in the morning. And then I was running the 13th Mr. and Miss Stonewall. And we crowned Sky Beckett last night, or Starlet Sky last night. And last night we crowned Starlet Sky and Mr. Antonio Edwards as the newly crowned Mr. and Miss Stonewall. And I woke up at 3 p.m. Registration was at 4. And I was late to registration because I woke up at 3 p.m. and I had an insane amount in my newsfeed. My sister in Colorado was freaking out because I didn't reply to her message. Why aren't you acknowledging my message? Like, she was freaking out, like, trying to get hold of me. I was asleep. I went to bed at 8 o'clock in the morning, my time. So I was replying and sending all these messages to people. And then I was late to registration. And I couldn't focus. And after registration, I focused a little bit and tried to get back to some people immediately. The important people that, like, look, I'm okay. Because if you're in Alaska, you don't know that Orlando's 4 hours from Florida. And the amazing thing and the true thing about our community is it's so woven. It's so interwoven and connected. I think everyone in South Florida and Fort Lauderdale knew somebody that was in Orlando. Yeah, it's 4 hours away, but we're all brothers and sisters. So, of course, my sister Erica Norell, who's on cast with me on Sunday nights, she was working in Orlando that night. She almost went to Pulse after work. But to all my friends and family, I'm safe. My husband's safe. And I put out a quick video because the messages were so overwhelming, and I just woke up and we both just woke up. It looks like he's asleep. But the flash was so bright we could barely open our eyes. We were safe. Affected, traumatized, hurt, but safe. The good news is today there's been a mass outpouring from our government defending the tragedy and defending and rising against the terrorism that's happened. I'm numb. I don't know how I'm going to perform tonight. I don't know how I did it last night. I was so busy that I didn't have time to think about it. But I've had time to think and cry all last night after work and today. I just wanted to do this video. Once again, telling everyone out there in YouTube land and cyber world that I am okay. But I'm pissed. I'm mad. And I'm hurt. It's not okay to hate. It's not okay to act on that hate. And I live in a world, and I feel hated on from all sides. I remember being a little kid on the school bus getting gum thrown at me and things put in my hair called homo and gay B. And now I suffer transphobia as well as homophobia. I was in Orlando for Halloween Horror Nights last year, in high whore drag, I had lots of glitter and whatever. And people would walk up and be like, especially black women. I don't know why, but some black women are so mean to trans girls. And they would walk up and be like, oh no, it's a man. Because they would see me from behind and I'm very tall. And they're like, oh no, it's a man. And just walk away. And I'm like, how are you calling me a man? And I didn't react. I didn't respond. And I was like, oh, she's saying that because I have glitter on my face. It's not okay to hate out loud. It's not okay to hate in your heart either. It's just not okay. Anyways, I have to go to work. And I'm still going to work. I'm going to work in a gay bar tonight. And I'm going to be proud of who and what I am. And I'm going to celebrate with the other people just like me. Well, not all of them are just like me, but I'm going to celebrate with the unique individuals, gay, straight, and lesbian, that come to a party with me tonight at work. And I'm going to put on a really happy face. And I'm going to smile. And I'm going to be cheery and fun. And hopefully people will laugh and have a good time. And I'm sure we'll talk about what happened this weekend. But I will remind them that haters want to hate. Haters are going to hate no matter what. But we are going to rise up. And we are going to take pride in who and what we are. And we won't let them suppress us and throw us back. Anyways, that was Misty. And I don't know if this was a Misty Minute or... I don't even know what to call this video. I guess a rant. I had to spill my heart. And I didn't even edit a video to post on YouTube today either, because my life has been very crazy. Hopefully, I will be able to edit this video tonight and post it tomorrow. And if I have time, I'll post another video for the next day, and I try to upload a couple. But if I am not on YouTube for a couple days, it's not because I don't care. It's just because I've got a lot on my brain. And it also helps me. It helps me realize that my relationships and my friendships are very important to me. When I was disowned from my family, I had to create my own nucleus or my own family within the gay people and the allies of gay people that I became close with and create my own family. And it just made me realize some of which were in Orlando, some of them live in Orlando. Like Robert and Eddie and Sapphire, they're all okay, thank God. Anyways, I really gotta go to work. I love you guys. If you're watching this video, I love you. And I truly do enjoy what I'm doing because of all of you. And your loyal devotion and friendship and love means the world to me. To all of my lashes, please stay safe. Please hold your head up high. Smile. If you see something, say something. Don't hate each other. Love each other. And be proud of who and what you are, no matter what it is. God made you the way He made you for a reason. Love is love, and love is beautiful. And I love you. Loving you is easy. Alright, so I wanted to make a quick amendment to my video before I post it. I am home from work tonight, and Dragonslide was amazing. Serenity Hines Dupree won. And of course, a lot of people asked why I was wearing a top hat, and they're like, oh, are you doing a magic trick tonight? And I explained to them, no, I'm wearing a hat in remembrance of Top Hat Eddie. And I'm wearing all black in remembrance of all the lives lost in Orlando. And for tonight's performance, I did I Am What I Am by Linda Eder. And my little speech before I performed was indeed telling them I'm wearing all black for this number, which is not normal. Usually I would wear rainbow colors, but I am mourning the lives of Orlando, and I'm wearing a top hat for my friend Top Hat Eddie, who worked for Allen Check Travel, and I got to know on the last 2 cruises very well, for he was in charge of the talent, etc. And therefore, communication started between a lot of patrons and myself. And one of the guests told me that Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, was on the news talking about how she loved all the gays in Florida, and gays are welcome here and they don't have to worry about anything. And I didn't hear the speech, so I'm paraphrasing what somebody that's paraphrasing told me. And that she was pro-gay. And that, of course, pissed me off. Pam Bondi is the #1 anti-gay lawyer that fought tooth and nail against gay marriage in the state of Florida. Before it became a nationwide freedom or nationwide right, it became legal in Florida just before nationwide. And Pam Bondi fought it tooth and nail all the way up until it became a nationwide right, a nationwide privilege. And Pam Bondi, extreme anti-gay person, is now on the news talking about being pro-gay and pro-loving all the Florida people that are gay. And I'm like, again, in my mind, it's not okay to talk out both sides of your mouth. I hate. I also found out today or tonight at work that this man, and I will not say his name, but the shooter of the Orlando tragedy, of course I know his name, but I do not believe in making celebrity out of someone so tragic. Everyone knows the name Jeffrey Dahmer, for example, because it's been said in our history books so many times, and I'm not going to say his name. I think what he did was appalling, and I will not notarize his act by saying his name, but you all know who I'm talking about. Also, in the original count of so far the 50 lives lost included his life. So now it's officially 49, unless of course something happens to somebody that's struggling for their life in the hospital. I know a lot of people are still under urgent care and will be for a long time, and hopefully that number does not rise to 50, but right now it's 49, but currently it is 49 lives lost and 53 injured. Today's been hard. Another thing I do want to just real quick before I post this video is another thing that came out is this man was a homophobic homosexual. And I talk about this a lot at Lips. I'm the MC on Wednesday nights for Bitchy Bingo, and I would say a good majority of our audience is straight girls, because they invite their husbands and a lot of their husbands freak out and they're like, I ain't going to a show like that. And then when a guy does show up, I praise him. And I let the audience know this man is here without kicking and screaming. And then I warn the audience that if their husbands or their boyfriends kicked and scream a little too loud, that is called being homophobic. And homophobia is the fear of being homosexual. Thou protest too much. The more loudly and the more anti and the more fervent you are about making sure everyone in the room knows you are anti-gay, why the fuck? You remember Andrew Cunanan, who killed Versace, Gianni Versace? He went on a serial killer spree and he would have sex with men, and then after having sex with them would feel such hate and such self-loathing and such regret and such depression for being who and what he was, he would kill them. And of course, he became found after killing Gianni Versace, legendary and iconic fashion designer in South Beach. And Andrew Cunanan was a homophobic homosexual. Well, it has come out that this man is also homophobic homosexual. He has been a regular of Pulse nightclub. Yes, he was married. Yes, he had children. He lives between Fort Lauderdale and Orlando, like an hour and a half north of us, and a little redneck small town called Port St. Lucie. And yes, he has children. He has been documented inside Pulse at least 12 occasions. I was reading the newspaper to confirm these facts before I spoke to you about them. There's 12 documented occasions that he was seen at Pulse, and 4 different people have come forward that they have talked to him on Jacked, one of which submitted his phone to the FBI and his password and login and etc. so the FBI can look at all their documented conversations. And his Jack profile had all his pictures, just like you saw in the news. He was not discreet. I know a lot of times straight guys on Jacked or Grindr or whatever, they'll put a picture of a sunset and then they'll share their pictures privately. But I guess his pictures were on his profile. He was not that discreet on Jacked. And apparently what had happened was he went to a security guard school and became really good friends with one of his security guard students, and they would go to Pulse together, and I guess he hit on the guy and the guy rejected him. Another confirmed fact that he had homosexual tendencies. His wife told the news that he had homosexual tendencies, and she did in fact think he was gay but trying to be straight. And hey baby, and was trying to be straight and hide or conceal the fact that he was indeed gay, which is hard and tough. But apparently what had happened was he went into the nightclub at 1 o'clock to drink. He was in the corner alone drinking. A couple people recognized him, said hey, whatever. He left at 2 o'clock, came back in with the guns and blew the place up. Now, I saw on one of the camera footages on CNN, well after the incident had been documented, the shooting back and forth. And that was 3 hours later after the incident had happened. The police, that was when the police shot him. And of course, he was the 50th life, and they denied counting him as the tragedy or the lost victim, because his loss of life was not a tragedy. Or, of course, it's sad that it happened, but it's not, he was not a victim of himself, is basically what they're saying. So not counting him as the 50th victim. He unfortunately killed 49 lives, thus being 50th would not make sense. It's all sad. I don't like the fact that the media tried to make this about ISIS or a terrorist attack. He was a terrorist because this is an act of terror, but it's more importantly, it was a hate crime. He is a homophobic homosexual who wanted to target an audience maybe he did not feel comfortable being in. Who knows all the reasons, but it's a very sad thing that happened. Just got lip gloss all over her tail. Look at Bella, she got a new haircut. She looks so skinny. Kitty, kitty, kitty. Look up here. Just so pretty. So pretty. My girl. My pretty girl. But if anything, I hope that we as a community come together. We are stronger, we are more unified, and we are more proud of who and what we are. And it is election year. And I think more than ever, you need to be aware of who you're voting for. Are you going to vote for a president that bitches and preaches and speaks hatred out loud? No. That's not okay. That's not who I want to be the president of the United States. And I currently do not know the political standpoint of who is doing what with gun rights, but that's another thing that we should educate ourselves on. The fact that he went in and bought an assault rifle, there's no reason for that. Nobody in America should have an assault rifle unless they are part of the military. End of story. It's just retarded. Anyways, that was Misty Eyez with my testimony and my thoughts and ideas on the recent tragedy and the massacre and the slaughter and the remembering of my dear friend Eddie. It's sad and it's terrible. But we as a community need to rise up and come together. Loving you, Zizi.